Hey everybody, my name's Vox, and today I want to tell you about a game called Roche Fusion, or Roche Fusion. I'm thinking it's Roche Fusion. All you can shoot buffet. This is going to be a pseudo first impressions, but mostly a review video. Roche Fusion is a fast-paced, exploding, over-the-top shoot 'em up. It's an alien or Space Invaders, Geometry Wars inspired arcade shooter. And I have to say, it is very, very addictive. I went through about, say, 5 of the indie games I've got sent recently that didn't work or just weren't something I was going to play. And then I came across this, not expecting a whole lot, and I was pleasantly surprised. I turned it on and kind of didn't stop playing for about half an hour before I realized what had happened. So, there's that. I'm a huge fan of the Space Invaders, the Geometry Wars, those kind of games. I've played the heck out of Beat Hazard on Steam before my entire progress was deleted for some reason. As long as they're done right, I would say that Roche Fusion is done right. And it's only in beta, so I'm hoping the little bit of feedback I do have to give is taken seriously and the game can do really well. It's available for free at the moment on their website, the beta build. RocheFusion.com, link will be in the description below. Basically the general concept is that you kill till you level up, you get unlocks when you level up, and there's a few different categories of unlocks you can get. You can get shield boosts, weapons boosts, or basically like AI buddies that tag alongside you, or triggerable events, which are basically bombs, lasers, extra explosions that are on cooldowns, and those are. This game is heavily gamepad based, so those are tied to your extra buttons while you shoot with the right trigger. It even has an active online leaderboard for the game, so you can, just like in Geometry Wars, it was a huge deal, keeping up with the high scores of everybody. Jump right in. Heading to the gameplay side, the game is very smooth and very unforgiving. I have yet to see any sort of extra lives unlock, but I keep dying around the same point, so it could exist later in the game, but I have yet to see it. So it's very, very unforgiving in that every little mistake can cost you a lot, because once you die once, at least in my experience, it's just kind of like, oh shit, I shouldn't have let that happen, and things can scale downhill pretty quickly. So again, the basic concept, you shoot the different spaceships. There's a few different types. There's ones that shoot lasers back at you. There's some that are just kind of passive along the border that almost act as shields for the other ones shooting at you in the groups. There's some that just move down straight at you and you gotta keep from getting crushed by them and kill them. There's some that chase you around but don't shoot but try to crash into you. And then there's big bosses, and the first boss you faced is basically a regenerating game of Snake. So it punishes you the longer it goes on, and the more of its basically little minions you kill, it actually punishes you more because it keeps regaining health and getting longer, so you're just playing a giant game of Snake while trying to kill it. I will say that boss is incredibly infuriating to fight if you haven't gotten the option for an unlock that shoots, like cluster missiles or the tri-laser beam or something like that, one of those kind of options. Which is very, very possible because the unlocks, basically the entire game has a very procedural nature to it. Obviously there's a certain order of events that things have to happen in, but there are many variations to what you will encounter every time you play. So there's a bit of procedural generation to it, and so a couple times I ended up fighting him with basically homing missiles and my little buddy that shoots him with me. And it's very, very hard to take him out quick enough without cluster missiles or my directional laser beam or a black hole or something. Everything feels smooth and intuitive. It does support both keyboard and mouse and gamepad control. I only played it with the gamepad. Your results may vary with the keyboard and mouse. It supports both single player and co-op. I do hope to try out co-op soon. I will do a separate video on co-op, so that's not going to be included with this review. I want to do a separate video of that with you later down the road, but single player is a lot of fun. Your heads-up display shows you relevant info. Your specials are mapped to your buttons on your gamepad, which works out really, really well. And like I said, the game just feels tight, it feels smooth, everything feels really good, and it plays really well. And it is very, very addicting, if I haven't said that enough. Graphics wise, the visuals are absolutely stunning. It is a very polished experience. A lot of these games, it's very Tron, Geometry Wars inspired. A lot of these games are, so it's all about the bright, flashy colors and particle effects. So it doesn't necessarily have too much of a unique look to it, but I can definitely tell the difference between it and other games of that type. There's lots of pretty particle effects and lots of great colors and graphics, and it scales really well. I did run it at 2K through some backwards screwing around with it, and it still looked absolutely fantastic at 2K. All of the text is crisp and legible, and everything, like I said, scales really, really well. It runs great, but I'm kind of confused. Like, I feel like it's maybe frame capped at 50-ish FPS. I don't know if that's part of some sort of weird broken inbuilt VSync or something. The options menu doesn't tell me a lot, which I'll get into in a minute. But it doesn't matter if I'm running at 480p, 720p, 2K, 1080p. I only get to like 49 FPS. And you would think that would make a huge impact on a game like this, and frankly, maybe at a full 60 or higher, I might have a better experience. But while recording at a locked 30 frames per second with fraps, because for whatever reason DxTory isn't picking the game up properly, I'm not experiencing any trouble with it. It doesn't stutter, it just is stuck at a very odd frame rate. But no stuttering or drops or anything like that. It runs really, really smooth. It just doesn't go all the way up to 60 for some reason. All of the colors and particles and flashing lights make it easier to get lost and killed in the bullet hell, which is kind of the point though, so that's par for the course with the genre and not really a complaint against the game. The options menu is where this game very much suffers, and since it's only in beta, I'm hoping, like I said, that some feedback will be implemented into the final release, because I am part of the sect that believes that there's no excuse to have a bad options menu nowadays, so I was really concerned when I got into the options menu for this one. So on your main screen you have a full screen toggle already, just right off the bat, so you can toggle it pretty easily. But then if you dive into the graphics menu, there isn't much at all, for some reason. Can't tell you what was going on in there, but there's not a whole lot of graphics options. You have start and full screen, distortion effects, many particles, screen shaking, and then an option to save your screenshots as a PNG file. Obviously, start and full screen is what I wanted, and it did work. I mean, it ran it at 1080p, but if you wanted to run it at anything other than 720p or 1080p, you're kind of screwed. And there's no options for, customizing actual graphics options like anti-aliasing or the lighting effects or anything like that. You just have quick toggles, and to me that's really, really frustrating. Like I said, I was able to run it at 2K by running my desktop at 2K, which isn't ever ideal in the way you do this, and so that was very much disappointing. The audio sliders are okay. The controls are awesome. You get controls for two, since it does support local co-op, you get control options for rebindable controls, I should mention, for 2 players, and you get an alt for each one for the gamepad and keyboard and mouse, so that is really, really good. But the graphics options are just killing me. And then there's a game options option, but the only difference in that is to send usage statistics, so that's not really much of a game option. It is very difficult to get to the games menu while you're playing, if you need to pause or something, if you're using the gamepad. I'm assuming this is rebindable, but it's on the escape key, which typically the start button on your gamepad is working for, but for whatever reason hitting start in game doesn't do it. You gotta hit escape. Don't have a clue what's going on there. Lastly, onto audio. Sound effects are very, very good for what it is. I mean, I'm not expecting hyper-realistic gunshots or anything like that. You got fun music, laser beam sound effects, explosions, nothing sounds cheesy or stock or anything like that. Music's pretty fun. It gets a little repetitive, but it is very exciting, and once you get enough explosions and pew-pews going on, you're not really gonna notice, so very impressed on that front. Overall, Roche Fusion seems to be a pretty freaking awesome game. I highly recommend you check it out. I am very addicted. I'm probably gonna go play for another half hour or so before bed. Great graphics, great gameplay, needs an options menu overhaul, but other than that, pretty great. Only in beta. I highly recommend you check it out as it is free at the moment. They may charge later. And yeah, let's go pew pew pew. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. As always, thank you very much for watching. My name is VinnyApplesVox, and the full link to my written review will be in the description below, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Epos and Chew. Let's play together. If you enjoyed the video, consider clicking on the screen to subscribe now. To watch another video, click one of the video annotations on the screen above. Links are also provided to our website, Twitter, and Facebook pages. See you next time.